Okay, someone needs to block Anthony Flores. He's just trolling. Bye-bye. I'm just gonna do it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we already got two
Yes,
people.
we worship Satan.
We
No,
do
I
worship
don't.
Horn with
Satan.
horns.
Hail Satan,
I do
everybody.
not. Okay, just for like a collective, so everybody understands what it means to be a bruja. I do not worship Satan. I don't believe in Satan. So it's kind of hard to worship something that I don't buy into. I think that Christianity is a fraud because it is. So there you go.
It's the faith of the seven. And we all know from this
Exactly
episode,
what George
especially.
literally models the faith of the seven after the Catholic religion. So if you are Christian, I'm down with you all. Like, it's fine, but just don't criticize me for being who I am,
Yep.
and we'll be great.
We're all about respect here, and that
there's
respect goes both ways.
There's
Yeah,
a reason
exactly.
why we picked the 7-pointed star and flipped it upside down.
Oh, Haley, I just will sometimes vote for the Democrats, and I apparently worship Satan in my Catholic family.
We have our youth from the blood of babies.
Yeah, the witch. That's how the broomsticks fly.
We do fully support, though, those who bathe in the blood of misogyny that say young and beautiful forever.
I mean, honestly, just don't.
Yeah, well, we got the troublemakers out of here. If they want to come back in and give us more exposure, that's fine. But we'll just block them as we go.
This is a Song of Ice and Fire talk, people. We are not talking Satan worship. That's for another day.
But also to think that George is just like, at all
George
related.
is an atheist. That's what's so funny is these Christians try to get all tied up, and it's like George is an atheist. So just so you know, you're in the wrong fandom if you don't approve of that kind of thing.
I was wondering why those people showed up, and you know what? It's because of the background. It's because of our logo.
Exactly. That's what I was pointing out. People, I mean, to an untrained eye, that looks like a satanic symbol.
It's supposed to. And if they're going to get bothered by it, they should get bothered by it.
Oh, well.
Rah!
Satan! No.
Born with horns.
Nope, we're here to talk about...
Does anybody know?
Oh.
Does anybody know where Chelsea is?
I do not know. Here, I'll text her. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, just text the...
Yeah, it's the font. It's the thing I found on Adobe.
It's
Adobe
the
is trying to... I mean, Adobe is literally the devil, but that's more of the literary devil, not an actual devil.
Okay, I texted her, so we'll see about it. And we also have some special guests coming in today, guys. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, and I've sent those invites out, but realistically, I might only have an hour here, so maybe we should get talking.
I have to go quiet here in about 5 minutes because I have to go pick up my other dragon from tennis camp. So okay. I'll be on. I'll just be silent.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think to each their own, folks. Whatever y'all believe in, whatever you do, I support you. Just don't,
No, exactly. It's all about respect. It's not about. That's where this even started. Is that people were saying that we should be quiet because they prejudged what we were going to say. We're not even talking about. That's just branding, my guy. Speaking of branding, people take branding way too seriously.
Okay, so let's I want to get into a little bit of season 2 really quick. I noticed the theme of this episode seemed to be people and the different ways that they parent within the Targaryen and Hightower dynasties. And this was just a very interesting thing to look at because I went back and forth on whether or not I thought that Aegon even loved his son or if it was just all about the legacy. And I think it was actually a little bit of both. I want to say that a part of him did truly love his little boy. And then the other part of him, the bigger part, was, thinking about what he was leaving behind. And that's no longer anything. If Maelor's not in the picture, it's not anything. According to him, because Jaehaera doesn't even matter. But
you see two examples of mothering. You see it from Helena, who was sitting down playing with Jaehaera in season.
just like literally exactly as Rhaenyra does, by the way. I would like to point out that that was not a coincidence done by the show. The way Helena and Rhaenyra parent is almost like they mirror each other in so many ways. And I just feel like what I was getting from Rhaenyra is that she cared far more about Helena's feelings than Alicent, her own mother. So that's messed up.
Yeah. So sorry, I was talking about this in the group chat, but Allison, this whole episode with all her kids, I feel like she's basically been talking to herself this whole time. And she's really like, the conflict with her is like, why don't these kids just get it? Because I just got it. And like, you can see that between, like, I especially got that communicated to me with the way Helena just asks why, like why they have to go perform grief in front of everybody. And I was like, Allison wouldn't have asked that question. It's because she knows.
And the thing about it is that Alicent never loved her children, and you see that from the very, very beginning. Whereas Helena deeply loves her children, and I would even say, to an extent, Aegon loves Jaehaerys to an extent. Because I'm sorry, especially there at the very end when Alicent walks in on him crying, that is a father legitimately in his grief. I'm not saying he's a good father. He's a terrible, terrible parent because he was encouraging bad behavior in his son. But it does not mean that he did not love him. He loved him. And then Alicent in that moment said, you know what? I think now's a really good time to go get some and not hug my son. So
no physical contact whatsoever.
No, and this is a huge reason why Aegon is the way he is. A lot, like, I'm not trying to sit here and blame a woman on the actions of a man, but you never hugged your child. Like, and it shows. It very much shows. But it also shows that we all make our own individual decisions. And like Helena was raised by the same cold mother, and you don't see her doing all the horrible things that Aegon does. So there you go.
And similar to Allison,
but still at the same time, hug your damn
Helena
kid.
didn't want kids. Probably similar to Allison, Helena didn't want kids, but that's the difference in their experiences.
But
which is the choices they make.
Her children. She loves her children in a way that Alicent never will. So that's what I saw.
In the chat.
I even saw love from Otto. Otto, of all people, loves his daughter in his own weird, like, terrible parents kind of way. Yeah. Like, he's still a terrible parent, but he loves Alicent. He did not even want to hear the worst of her. He's like, I do not wish to hear it. And people don't understand. It's not that he doesn't wish to hear it because he doesn't want the image that he has of Alicent to be besmirched. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy. But it is a sign that Otto loves his child, even though he's terrible.
Yeah, it even is shown. It's shown with Aemond as well. This Izzy Gucci has pointed out that, you know, even Aemond seeks attention from older women, like in that brothel. I mean,
which will not be surprising at all. That's the reason why he seeks out Alice. Although it is kind of weird because Alice is supposed to look significantly younger than she is. So I don't know how they're going to approach that. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
It is because,
because the woman that he's with now looks older than his own mother. So
she's very much a motherly figure to him. Yes, Haley, Aemon's Voldemort moment. We were talking about that.
We all thought it. We all thought
I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on the man's body because we already spoke about that privately. But yes.
Now that is true. People are.
Appearance, but that's the vibes that we got.
I'm going to say somebody needs to, like. Okay, so there's thin and then there's unhealthy thin, and that's all I'm going to say about it. And I'm not going to say anything else just because, like, it's not nice.
I mean,
I honestly was like a
where I'm
little. It
questioning
was
if it's
unexpected for
CGI.
me, so I was a little like, what am I trying to say? Um, I don't know. I guess shocked because for one,
I believe
I
it
didn't even
was.
understand what the Voldemort thing was referencing when I saw those. The episode, those memes, the episode in 4 images. And it's like the Spider-Man looking at each other, and then but yeah, one of them is Voldemort, and I didn't understand it until y'all explained it to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I don't see the skinny guys.
I mean, he's hidden the clothes
And here comes
forever, and then
in my bag, my Moana bag.
we just see him without clothes, and it's almost like it's the angle and the lighting to make him look like that. Maybe they use makeup to emphasize some of the bone features that he has, but it's definitely a little unsettling to see.
You can
But
definitely
again,
do that with makeup.
yeah, I mean, they can make that look. I mean, CGI even. I mean, he just looked a little sickly, and it makes.
Okay. Did we also see how Daron was mentioned? We might see him this season. I would expect that we'd see him this season if he is mentioned like that. What's interesting is we had no casting announcement, so who knows?
I really think that they honestly just forgot about him, and they're not willing to admit that. Just say you forgot. Just say you fumbled the ball and you forgot. Because he already should have been in season 1. There were several scenes in season 1 that he already should have been in. You forgot. I mean, I get it. I don't really get it because I feel like you should not make those kinds of mistakes that D&D made. But just admit you made a mistake. You forgot
The
about it.
D&D meme of we kind of forgot.
So I kind of Daron's supposed to be the same age as Jace, I think. But Daron, had they not rushed season 1, there probably would have been time for Daron because most of Daron's story in the beginning has to do with the difference between him and Jace. Because it's like there's rumors about Jace's illegitimacy. I theorized that there were also rumors about Daron's legitimacy, which is why he got sent to Old Town. Maybe he has darker hair or something. But either way, the book tries to put them two as opposite ends of each other, but it doesn't fly because Jace doesn't do anything outwardly villainous his entire life. Meanwhile, Daron gets whitewashed a lot. So I feel like if they were going to do something with that, that would be interesting. But I don't see them having that story happen until late season 2 or season 3. So I kind of
if Daron comes
I'm
out
of
with
two
brown
minds
hair,
of
I'm
this
going to freak
because
out.
if they bring him up too early, it's going to be confusing that he's sitting there doing nothing and then all of a sudden starts doing stuff. But at the same time, not bringing him up could be as equally as confusing. I think it's just that they had no idea if they were going to bring him in or not because he doesn't do a whole lot. Spoiler alert. I don't understand how he has fans because he doesn't do a whole lot.
Honestly, I'm not really so much a fan of anybody in Fire and Blood, except for maybe Rhaenyra Rhaenys.
Yeah, Rhaenys.
But nobody's really. There's no main character energy in Fire and Blood. It's a history book.
Yeah, so it's just one of those. It's regrettable, I think, but we'll see. I'm gonna give them the rest of this season to figure out, I guess, what they're gonna do with Daron, or at least just sell me on it.
Yeah, I mean, there are characters I like in Fire and Blood, but I don't have a specific favorite. Does that make sense? Because there's no the most main character energy that you get is from Daemon. And
No,
yes, I do. I like Daemon, but it's still you don't get a POV from him. There's no feelings from Daemon. It's not like what you would think. It's not a Song of Ice and Fire.
I am surprised whenever I find out some people have really heavy emotional connections to certain characters because I don't feel that for any of them. I maybe have sympathy for Rhaenyra and then Daemon, but that's mostly because we have a lot about them. Probably more than most of the other characters. So it's just I just didn't I just didn't connect with the material that way. I'm way more interested in the story.
Yes, exact. I could not agree more. And for me, from the very beginning, because I told you guys I was in postpartum with my first child, after that was published, and she was like the one who's turning 6 today. um, and she was, I think, like 4 or 5 months old at the time, 4 or 5 months old. And I had a lot of time on my hands, so I read the book, and then I read it again. And I just felt like the whole story was really centered around Daenerys's background. Like, that's what I felt that it was about, was giving us background information on Daenerys Targaryen. And that was the purpose. It never felt like it was written for any other reason other than to say, hey, this is where she comes from, and this is what makes her so different from all these people.
Yeah, this is the it's writing about the cycles that she's going to participate in breaking.
Yeah, exactly. It did not ever feel any point in time about anything else other than, hey, look at how different Daenerys is from all these clowns. I mean, and I shouldn't even say clowns, because like there are plenty of people in there that aren't like that. But like everybody's making mistakes in one way or another, except maybe Helena. So everybody's making
Poor
mistakes.
Helena.
Even Rhaenyra's making mistakes in that book. And then again, you can't even rely on what mistakes are actually being made, because half of it may not be true. So it's a complicated, like, it's like you said, Eric, I was much more interested in the story than anything else, but I take it all like at face value, because none of it could be true. Some of it could be true. You just never know.
It's all about I just wrote a script for a video, and it's about the Eric and Arik fight. It's all about what story do you identify with, because there's essentially multiple stories, and it's like I think what your personal tastes or even what your personal character will you express that through like what you think the story is. I feel like we got that experience with how they filmed the fight scene in the ambiguous nature of the ending. Now, I went and looked up that there is an actual like solid ending that the actors knew about and performed. Spoiler alert: Eric is who survives, which I think is pretty obvious. But I see people debating about it right now. But it is one of those moments where it's
There
like,
is no debate.
what is the
That's
story you
people are
want?
debating it.
Is it about Eric surviving or about Arik surviving? And then the fact that they both would say "forgive me," they would say it for different reasons. I feel like you get to choose, but I don't know. I like the Eric story because it's
There's no way. There's no way. I'm sorry. Like, there's really no debating on who survived that. So it was Eric.
Yep, I agree.
Sorry, guys, I'm in the car.
I feel like Arik, even in that moment, would have been a total dumbass and just like tried to kill her. Because I mean,
Yes.
he was willing. Listen, he was willing. Eric didn't want to fight. Arik was the one who pushed that. He pushed.
And that's something they go into in the behind the scenes. So one thing they did to keep it ambiguous was they choreographed it so that they would both have similar wounds and injuries. So you can't tell by how they get attacked. The one way you can sort of tell is that the way they performed it was that Eric is always on the defensive.
Yeah.
So I'd see it like kind of like no, yeah. So he's always on the defensive because he didn't want to kill his brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, like I don't know. I think they tried to do something with the way that the two brothers think about their oaths and honor. With the Eric scene with Damon in the first episode, and then with Arik's scene with Kristen. That scene with Kristen, like, can we talk about that? That was so fun to watch because what a hypocrite. I wanted to like.
I mean,
I wanted Arik
is
to
the
fight
one to
Kristen
talk.
at that point.
You know, I
I
wasn't even
wanted to blow
mad.
up.
I wasn't even mad or surprised because of who we're talking about here. At this point, I feel like he has spiraled so far out of control. Like, even when Allison asked him if he told anyone, he was like, there's no going back for me at this point. I have besmirched my honor so badly that I'm just a terrible person now. And I'm just going to embrace that. I'm going to live with it. Like, this is who I am now. I'm an awful person. Hi. And he's not even, oh, hi. My 3-year-old said hi in the background. But I mean, I think that that's where he's at right now. His mindset is just, hey, I'm a legitimately terrible person. I'm embracing that now. There's no getting around it. So I'm just going to start doing terrible things because, you know, it is what it is at this point.
Did anybody else see that he has the crazy eyes in that scene? Like, I want to give props to Fabian Frankel about the crazy eyes he has in that scene because he's losing it. He's reaching. I think he always feels like he's about to die, but then he keeps going upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I feel like for Kristen, it's not even like he didn't even send Arg to kill Rhaenyra because he thought, oh, let me end the war. No, he's still bitter. Like, he's still so freaking mad that she would not run away with him and sell oranges.
Like, the way
That's what
he
he's
talks
going
about
for.
Rhaenyra every time, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna slap the taste out of your mouth.
He is still so upset. Like, they are actively doing the nasty in Rhaenyra's old room. Like, can you say, I'm upset?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. Exact same room. Nothing's moved. Like, this is where he took her virginity. Like, does that not bother you? Does that give you the ick or anything like
What?
that?
No, because
I think they're
Allison
into
feels
it.
the same way. Allison feels the same way. Allison had a crush on Crispy, but she also had a crush on Rhaenyra. So, like, she's basically getting 2 birds with 1 stone, or like, in the most, like, she's as close to Rhaenyra as she's ever going to get, especially at this point.
Not a
Let me check on Chelsea
fangirl.
again. Hold on, you guys.
Fangirl. Did anyone notice that he stands different this season? I haven't noticed that. I'll need to look at it. The one thing I did notice is that Laris stands differently depending on who he's talking to. Like, in the first episode, he's like straight backed, 6 foot tall in front of Alicent, but then he's like hunched over to be like eye level with Aegon. Let me see. Alicent only wants Kristen because she actually wants Rhaenyra. I mean, I think that's what's happening with both of them. They're both obsessed with
Yeah, we
Rhaenyra.
can all agree on that. We can all agree.
But let's see. I feel like this episode had so many Easter eggs. I feel like the show is much better about that. I know the writing team, they were at the very least forced to read Fire and Blood and the main series, which I think is a plus because there's so much of the style that's in the main series that you can't get from. You just can't get.
Question here. Who is Hugh? Hugh the Hammer.
Whereas,
I think it's interesting that they're trying to humanize him. Like, I'm like, don't humanize this guy, please. It's annoying.
I'm interested to see what they do with Hugh, because the small folk perspective is something that is not only missing from Fire and Blood, but it is missing from the main series. I'm kind of hopeful that the show is even playing in this area. I'll be interested to see what they do with Hugh, because Hugh in the books is just a generally kind of bad guy, and he's involved in a future plot that will probably happen near the end of season 2. But essentially, they have the Rhaenyra's faction has a plan to get more dragon riders, so they go to find dragon riders, and they're looking at people on Dragonstone and Driftmark for people who have dragon blood in them because of the oppression of the Targaryens. Because there's this thing called the Lord's right to the first night, which is anytime anybody gets married in your fiefdom, the Lord gets to go and be with the woman for a night. They get the first night, which then leads to a lot of unwanted children with dragon blood. What was I saying? Small folk just want to survive. They switch it up depending on who will bring stability. Yes, and we do see that's central to jumping ahead to something that is probably going to be different in the show if they include it at all. Is Maelor's story, who is not alive in the show right now.
Sorry, guys. Chelsea will be joining us in.
So I was saying, yeah, that's what's going on with Maelor, is that the townspeople are undecided of what to do because at the time, Rhaenyra's in King's Landing, so she's the queen. But then the Green Army is like right down the road. So like, what do you do at that point? Like, and it doesn't come out well for anybody in that. It's all like the whole story is all about how these systems push on people and bring the worst out of people. Like that's exactly what happened in Blood and Cheese. Arguably something just too many loose ends means that a lot of things can go wrong. And that's what I think has been this whole story, is just everything going wrong. Every chance that they could have avoided something is not taken. People succumb to their worst characteristics, and it makes the war worse. So let's see, what else we got in the chat? JJ made a comment last night about Otto and Tywin mirroring each other, but how Tywin is superior. They do mirror each other, I think so, because similar to Tywin, Otto gets dismissed several times from a mad king. Aerys, I don't think those are like a George mirroring is oftentimes just like little similarities like that. It's not usually so direct. Sometimes it is, and it's like very like interesting to think about. But I think Tywin versus Otto, I think they're about similar, but Tywin, I mean, they're just different times, I think, right? Like
I mean,
Tywin
can we just talk about how Otto is? Can we talk about how smart Otto is with pushing his own agenda, but it's falling on deaf ears because the people that he's counseling are freaking ignorant and literally stupid. Just don't.
And that's true. That's kind of
just are seeking counsel elsewhere.
And that's kind of similar to Tywin in a respect that everything that Otto has built up has led to him being in charge. The problem is that every step he took to be in charge surrounds him then with people he can't control. Alicent and Aegon, and especially Aegon now that he's been fired. And the PR game, interesting. Was the guy at the funeral talking at Helena the Shepherd? I'm not sure. And then I don't know what the show's going to do. I have my own ideas about the Dragon Pit, but it's that it was an orchestrated riot. So like the Shepherd somewhat is to blame, but way more it was a like consolidated effort to take the dragons out under the guise of a riot. You get kind of similarities to the riot in King's Landing in A Clash for Kings when they send Myrcella to Dorne, which that is heavily theorized. I think it's a popular theory that Littlefinger was making that happen. Yeah. I think that Daemon and Tywin mirror each other a bit. Both are brutal because they know fear is what controls people. They're also both not that smart. I think I would disagree. I'm not sure because that's one of those things that because the book characterizes Daemon as this pretty ruthless guy, but like the stories they tell involve him like actually inspiring like faith from people. You don't really get that. I don't know. I guess this is my interpretation, is that I always felt like it was kind of they were talking doubly, because it's like they want Damon to be this evil bad guy, evil violent guy, but at the same time, people trusted him and people wanted to follow him, and that's not. They don't want to trust and follow the ruthless people because they're scared of him, and that's what Tywin is all about, and that's why everything falls apart after Tywin dies. Spoiler alert. But as far as Damon mirroring, I think Damon's more Oberyn because he's because he's like, first off, he's got a nickname that's like that shows that he's dangerous and unpredictable, and then also that he's just he seems to be fiercely devoted to his family while being portrayed as a rogue. So I see Damon and Oberyn as kind of being similar in that light. Damon and Tywin, I don't know. Like I said, I see Tywin and Otto being more the mirror. Yeah. But the thing is, you can think about this in so many different ways. I mean, fucking there's mirrors between Bloodraven and oh no, One Eye. What's his name?
Aemond.
No. Other One Eye. Barrett.
You're on.
No, Dondarrion. There's too many George.
Gosh.
Too many One Eyes.
Listen, there's a lot of people.
So many One Eyes.
Giving Cyclops vibes in A Song of Ice and Fire. It's a popular thing, apparently.
The first time we hear the word kinslayers towards Rey and not Aemon was harsh. That's
All
true,
right,
and I wonder what the show.
It doesn't surprise me in the least bit, though. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Exactly, and I want to know if the show is actually doing something with this, because the actual thing about kinslaying is that it's all social. Of course, there's not really a curse. At least to me, there isn't. It's way more about how people perceive you and consider you afterwards. They stop trusting you. Otto's PR is Kris Jenner level. They never bring up that Cole breaks guest right? I guess so, yeah, right? I didn't even think of that. We're welcoming in our final panelist.
Hello.
Howdy.
Can't tell time. I thought that this started at 10 my time, but I was wrong.
Oops.
So I'm off camera because I literally just got out of the shower.
We've just been circling about the episode. I forgot what I was talking about. Let's see what it was not his guest though. They were the kings.
You were talking
But
about
but it's not like it's one of well that's the thing. Would that be so? Here's an interesting question for the panel: Is Kristen breaking guest right by beating Lonmouth?
by doing what?
Being what?
Yeah, what was that?
By beating Joffrey Lonmouth at the wedding, is Kristen breaking guest right?
No, because he wasn't his guest.
Yes, he's making. Well, he's making the Targaryens look absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's
it's
true.
not like yes, but it's not like breaking guest
But
right.
they're not his guests. Yeah, exactly.
Like they weren't his guest. He was also a guest.
Yeah, but like it does make the Targaryens look very, very bad. Like that alone should have cost Kristen his head.
Well, I honestly think what makes them look bad is that nothing fucking happens to Kristen for it. It's not necessarily.
No, he's in the middle of about to execute himself, and Allison's like, wait.
Yeah.
You're telling me how.
But that's because didn't Olivia confirm that they were having a whole affair like while Viserys was still alive? I think she said something about that.
I believe it.
Okay, wait. In the comments, people are like, no, Kristen's part of the royal household. No, he's not. He defends the royal household.
Yes, exactly. He's a guard.
He's not a member of the royal household.
So
yeah, that's a weird thing because I think it would be.
He's a
The way I'm
king's
thinking of
guard.
it-
He's not a gold cloak, so it's Like, he is held to a higher standard, but it makes the Targaryens look terrible that he got away with that and that nothing happened.
The way I would think of it is that you could see it as maybe like Viserys breaks just right because it's his guard. Hi, Bela.
Yes.
Welcome in.
I would say that okay.
Wait, no, hold
So
on.
yeah, that does feel kind of true that he's not like Viserys should have taken Kristen's head for that. Like that's not even a debatable thing. He should have been executed.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially that it happened at his daughter's wedding. I mean, it's what yeah. It was very poorly done.
What I'm getting at is that in order for it to have been Viserys breaking guest right, he had to have known what was happening. Like, he wasn't involved in it. It's not like
Yeah, that's one of those things because it's like you also break it if you like let them get hurt under your protection.
Yeah.
So it's like if someone else sneaks in and does harm to you.
how was Viserys letting it happen? It just happened. The
I
letting
mean,
it
that's just that to me is just speaking to like why these curse things are like not real, and it's way more like a social game, which is why like nobody I think cares about Aemon killing his brother. Meanwhile, they're making a huge thing about Rhaenyra because it's like all that shit actually doesn't matter. It's all about how you're perceived. You know, there's not really a curse. There's no gods. As we discussed earlier in the chat, because we got called out for being Satanists. Hail Satan.
Oh, I missed that? That's a bummer.
It was funny. It was because I put the logo up.
Yeah.
And it just immediately had people like, shut it. Witchcraft is the devil.
I love how they don't notice that it's a upside down 7-pointed star that's not even real. But
No, they looked too quickly.
Yeah, they were blocked immediately, so.
That's funny.
When she stopped Cole, it would have been a bit early for the affair. Yeah, but he just had it with Rhaenyra. But somebody on the chat was also saying that Alicent and Kristen is like a new thing between season 1 and season 2. I don't know.
I don't know. They fucking like they've been doing it for a while.
I would imagine they were doing it while Viserys was there. Let's see. It doesn't even look like it is. I believe they were having an affair the whole time. I think it's fair to believe that. Whether it was true or not, I mean, who knows? They hopefully they're not going to rush the show nearly as much as they had in the first season.
So what have you guys already talked about? Everything?
We've kind of like just milled about kind of everything because it was very unstructured. But we could start from the beginning because I still haven't said everything about everything. Aegon. So the first thing I noticed was that Aegon, like I was talking about this morning with y'all privately, he's not. He's mad at the idea of his kid dying. I don't think he understands specifically how to grieve yet.
No one taught him how to grieve.
Yeah, and he's definitely not getting taught now, based on the last scene we see of him.
Certainly not. I don't get this whole discourse that he's a good dad. I don't understand how after one episode where he smiles at his kid and like can't tell them apart and brings him to fucking the thing and is like, ride him like a pony because you're a little asshole. I'm raising a little asshole. Like, how does that make him a good father? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating to have people be like, so why was he a bad father? Because he couldn't tell his twins apart? And I'm like, kinda a little bit, but more specifically teaching him to disrespect people that work for him.
Yeah,
that's not
like
that's not what a good father does.
You're raising a Joffrey.
Yeah.
Is Cersei a good mother? No. No one would say that Cersei is a good mother. No one would say that. No one with a brain.
You know, that's an interesting angle to this because it's true. Cersei would not get they would say that they love her, but I don't think anybody calls her like a great mother.
Especially not to fucking Tommen. Like, be so serious. She's mean to him. She's cruel to him. She picks on him. She hates him.
Yes, she doesn't like Tommen because he's not like her.
I disagree that they gave Helena's grieving to Aegon because Helena is grieving. She's very clearly grieving.
Yes, she's doing the actual grieving, which is so tragic because now they're making her perform grief in front of everybody, which is not what she needs.
That panic attack she had was like, I felt it. I felt it. It was brutal.
I really like the.
See, okay, whoa. There's a Twisted Tim says at least he brought his boy to the council meeting. He brought a 5-year-old boy who has no idea what's going on, and that child served only as a distraction, and then as a means for Aegon to humiliate his own council.
Yeah, and the show is very
Would've been
open about
better.
this by having Helena bring up the fact that he should not be taking him from the library.
I mean, because he should be learning how to spell, read, write, not about something that has no understanding of.
Well, it's like how Helena says,
5. He is 5.
Don't interrupt his. She doesn't even say studies. She says like his.
Studies.
No, she doesn't say studies. It starts with a C. The word is escaping me, but it's basically like don't interrupt his routine is what she says.
His routine.
His custom.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep, she's custom. But the thing about it is, and this is what I commented on as well, Chelsea, was like no difference between Rhaenyra and
Hi, Estella. Welcome in.
Hello. Can y'all hear me?
noticing the similarities between Helena and Rhaenyra. And how the two of them parent as mothers, it's very similar. They love to sit with their children and watch them play and be actively involved with their children. And like everybody else is very off with parenting. Allison seems disgusted by all of her children. Like she's embarrassed that they can't just get it together. And I mean, even with Helena, like she cries about what Helena had to go through, but then she forces Helena to go through that mummer's farce of a freaking funeral. I mean, there was just no thought process behind, oh, you just got to do it. Like, tough shit. I know you just witnessed your child being brutally murdered, but, you know, you got to do it. Just get it together.
Yeah, she's talking to herself because somebody had this conversation with her when she didn't want to do something.
Exactly.
So welcome in Estella and Chelsea, who came by a little later in the. Let's start out with y'all's general ideas about the episode because we've kind of already talked a little bit about everything. So, what did you think about episode 2? I guess we'll start with Estella.
Yeah, I actually really loved it. I was very satisfied. These past 2 episodes I've felt are really good, and I think I've voiced my opinions on season 1, and I think if the episodes continue to be like this, I think we're in a really good place. I thought they did a really great job incorporating a lot of characters and really building on them and making them likable and interesting. Like we really didn't get much of the Cargill twins in season 1, or at least, I mean, we did get a little bit of them, but I, for whatever reason, didn't feel as attached to them as I did within this one episode where I was like, wow, they did a really good job suddenly making me really care about these 2 characters. And the same goes for like, you know, we got to see Bela and we got to see Corlys and Rhaenys, and like we got all these little character building moments, and even like the way that some of the scenes were shot of like, you know, Rhaenyra just looking up to the sky, I thought were really introspective and really well done. And so yeah, I honestly would rate it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I was very satisfied with the episode.
Same.
It's almost a look into what season 1 could have been had they not been like so rushed.
Yep.
Well, I told you guys, I told y'all, I really think that George was more involved in this season, and you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think he was. I would really like to comment on Damon's behavior because I was talking to you guys about it last night.
Let's talk Rhaenyra.
A lot of people had a problem with, well, I want to get to Rhaenyra, but I want to address really quick how he was very passive towards Bela and how Bela says that sometimes she thinks that she hates him. So, one, the dynamic between Bela and Damon is that Bela is so much like Damon and that she is a passionate thinker and like she probably has a lot more logic to her head than Damon does, because Damon thinks with like zero logic and all passion, whereas Bayla's probably like 15-20% logic, so she's got a little bit more common sense than Damon has. But I think that in that moment, Damon was hurting. And when Damon is hurting, everybody knows he's hurting. And he makes it known to the entire world that he is hurting. So, and his only way to express that is to either get really, really angry or to completely shut down, which is exactly what he was doing there. And the reason why Bayla and Damon have kind of like that love-hate going on is because they have so much in common. And that tends to happen a lot when you have a parent and a child that align themselves with each other in terms of personality.
Yeah. Damon was, I don't know. I just saw him as being I saw some of his actions as maybe a little childish, but it's just maybe like what, emotional immaturity. Like especially the fact that people were making jokes about how he throws two things. He couldn't just like smack one thing off the table. He has to do two things real fast. He's really extra. He's very,
I will
yes,
say
very
too,
emotionally immature. And
Let's
sorry,
even talk about how it was blown out of proportion, that small scene that we've seen in behind the scenes, and how that discourse that came from that. And whenever you watched it in the show, it was just a typical Damon temper tantrum. It was just way blown out of proportion.
And it was one of the best scenes in the show. It was one of the best scenes in the episode. Like the writing was to me pitch perfect for.
I was going to bring up the exact same thing. I was going to say, remember how everyone blew that scene out of proportion and they were like, this is going to be terrible. They're ruining our favorite characters. And then it was like some of the best dialogue and interaction between the two characters in the whole episode. I was like, wow, this marital dispute argument is eating. Like, it was just so good. And too, like, seeing Damon being kind of deflective and him being like, a little bit dismissive in the beginning too, where he was like, well, I didn't want this, it was an accident. And she's like, dude, it was just, I thought it was so well done for the characters. And I am just so annoyed that people online really love to take things and freak out before we even see them, because it was actually a really great scene.
It was,
that's the thing too, is that people oftentimes forget, like I said, Damon is a passionate, like, he thinks with passion, not with logic. So he wanted to fix this for Rhaenyra in the quickest way possible. So he was like, if I can't get Aemond, just get somebody. Get a high tower son. Get Aegon. Get Jaehaerys. Get somebody. Like, one of these three, just get them. That way I can make it better. He just wanted to make it better as quickly as possible. And that is an example of someone who thinks with passion.
Literally. And I feel like he's the epitome of that meme that's like, my girl's mad at me, I hope I die. Like,
yeah,
he is, he really is like, he, likes to act very tough. And I mean, he is, but deep down he's very emotionally wounded. And you can even see too when Rhaenyra was still kind of reasserting like, hey, you were not chosen. It really hurt him. He was very upset to have that reminder that Viserys did not choose him as the heir.
But I also think that it comes down to, like, I think he's really hurt that Rhaenyra does not believe that he supports her.
Yeah.
He very much supports her, and to be accused of not supporting her is killing him.
I mean, that's when he lost his shit. That's when he threw the cups, was when she was like, were you just using me to get closer to the throne? That's when he lost it, because he's like, how can you
fucking kidding me? Like, are you actually joking me right now? Is like, that's what I got from it.
I love all the looks that everybody's giving each other around the table when it's like, everybody's like, yeah, how could this have happened? Everyone's just looking at Damon, and Damon's just
being
like
so quiet,
twiddling his thumbs.
Yeah, and Rhaenys is looking over there like,
Yeah, can we talk about maybe you guys have already covered this, but the comedy of this episode?
Yeah.
Yes, there were bits.
Like, I'm sorry. I know that this was very serious, and like, at times I do feel a smidge for Aegon, and I hate Allison for making me feel something for Aegon, but I did feel bad when she didn't hug him. But when he was throwing his little tantrum, like, I declare war, I was giggling a little bit. I was like, wow.
I burst into laughter when
I'm the king.
the first thing we hear out of Aegon is like, where was my counsel when they were threatening your king? My lord, were you threatened? I could have been. He's throwing shit.
Yeah. Or I mean the scene too, where he's like, well, Cole is doing stuff, and you just see his face, and then Otto is just like, what?
Otto
Yeah,
laughed.
Otto has
slow
heard
turn.
Otto has heard all he can, and he has to prepare himself for hearing more right now.
Yeah,
Can we talk about how much Otto was serving in this episode? Like,
Yes.
Viserys was right about you. You're an idiot. I mean, he just finally decided, you know what? I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm just going to go off at this point. I'm just going to go off. I'm going to totally show my ass because everybody else is. So I'm going to just say all the things I've been holding back.
In the chat, was dismissing Otto a mistake? Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Because Aegon is completely unchecked now, and the person who's supposed to check him is equally as unchecked.
Yeah.
I saw someone on Twitter say now that Kristen is hand, it's literally like two idiots going exactly.
Yes.
Like them both being like yes, like hyping each other up to just do stupid things, and I'm like, literally, it's gonna be so bad.
That was that scene with the map that they're plotting stuff. That's all they were doing.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back and bite him. Yes. I don't like it, but Otto actually plays the long game. Yes, we were talking earlier about how there are Otto Tywin mirrors going on, which I think is fair because they both got fired. Let's see, what else we got? Sorry, I'm about to transition to work, y'all, so I may be going mute and coming in and out a little more.
I was gonna say, I like too that every time anything bad happens to Otto, he's like, I'm going back to Old Town.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this.
Okay, this was brought up earlier in the chat. What do we think, speaking of Old Town, because he's going back, what do y'all think about bringing up Daeron right now?
Loved it. Excited. I'm like, finally.
I mean, yes, finally, but also, where was he? Where has he been?
Right?
Because he's not been in Old Town this entire time. Like, stop it right now.
Right?
He did not go until he was 12.
It just feels tacked on, where I'm like, oh, now y'all are bringing this character in. I mean, I'm excited because I want to see Viserion, mostly, and I imagine that'll probably be season 3, but we'll see.
I've said this before. I mostly think that they honestly did not know if they were going to bring him in because all of his plot points can easily be given to other people. And it's just like, are they going to hire another actor? Are they even going to deal with it? And it's just like, it's interesting that I like that they're just going to bring it up. Like, just bring it up and then just make it work because it's the same thing with Mizaria. Like, we don't need an explanation for why her accent is different. It's just better now.
Yep.
I like that Otto immediately though is like just wiping his hands of Aegon, and he's like, I'm going to Old Town. We're going to start on the next kid.
But exactly. That's all the High Towers know how to do. That's what they've been doing this whole time. They worked on Aemond. It didn't work. They worked on Balon. That didn't work out. They worked on Viserys. They weren't going to work on Rhaenyra.
No.
So yeah, Daeron. Let's try the next one.
Literally, he's like Aegon's already out of the picture. He's like, I'm already planning 3 steps ahead.
I think it's like that sound. It's like that popular sound on TikTok right now. That dang it, dang it, and let's just keep moving on to the next person. We'll get it right at some point. It's fine. We're gonna be fine. But I feel we saw a smidge of love from Otto, and I know I already said this, but for you guys who are just joining, when he says that he does not wish to hear it after Alicent says, I have sinned, I think it is one of those Viserys moments where Viserys doesn't really want to see that Rhaenyra is a human being who can make mistakes. And that's the same feeling that Otto has for his daughter. And he just wants to have this vision of her being perfect, and he doesn't want it besmirched. I think he knows already. Because he's not a stupid man. He's very misogynistic, but he's not stupid. So
Oh
he
wait, I just thought
knows.
he has to know because he's talking to Laris,
Right.
and
He
Laris
knows.
definitely knows.
He
Larry
knows.
knows,
He
but
just doesn't.
is he
He doesn't
saving that
want to
information
know.
though for later? Like, just because Laris knows, I don't think means necessarily he's told people already.
I think Otto is fully aware of what's going on. I think he doesn't want to hear it from Alicent because then it becomes real.
Yeah, I think it ruins his illusion of her, but also I think that the intention of having that in the narrative is that he's doing the exact same thing that he was so furious with Viserys for doing, which is
Yep.
ignoring what their children are doing. And so it's okay for him to ignore it when Alicent is, acting outside of her tradition and duty and honor and whatever. But it was wrong for Viserys to ignore that same behavior in his daughter.
Wait a minute, whoa! You're saying the High Towers are hypocrites?
Oh
Yeah,
no!
and it's like Tywin, being like the Mad King. Someone needs to stop the Mad King, and he does his part in stopping the Mad King, only to raise Cersei, the Mad Queen. Like, it's that same kind of irony.
Yep. Exactly.
Also, like, I just want to throw this in there. I've never liked Kristen, always hated him, but this season so far, every time he's on the screen, it's like this blind rage that I feel. Like,
Boo!
oh, I'm so angry. I'm like, boo. My mom gets so annoyed because, like, she's trying to listen, and I'm like, boo, boo, Kristen, boo. And she's like, can you shut up? And I'm like, no, boo.
He
Yeah,
really just is a slime ball just trying to climb the ladder. Like, I mean, even with the scene where he basically gets named Hand and then immediately goes to Alice, and I'm like, oh, this is all just power stuff for you.
Oh, I want to talk about, I haven't seen anyone really talk about this. This is kind of from the last episode, but it curtails into this episode. The relationship between Alicent and Cole is really interesting to me because every time that we see them being intimate, Alicent is the one in the position of power. So this relationship with Kristen is very much like her way. It's like the one situation where she gets to exude power.
Yes.
And so, like, he's going down on her. Like, it's about her pleasure in that first scene. And then when Helena walks in on them, she's on top and she's, doing her thing. Like, it's very much about the one way that she's been able to claim her agency and, like, exude some authority. And so I think that her attraction to Kristen is, yes, he's been very loyal to her, but also that he's someone she can subjugate.
Yeah, because she even says, we can't do this again, and he like kind of immediately straightens up, and he's like, "Yes, my
I felt
queen."
like, honestly, when she said that, I felt like his vibe was a little bit like, "Whatever you say," like, we'll be tomorrow.
But to me, it felt like he was very much like, "Okay, I'm willing to play the part and let you think that you have the
Whatever.
power." And now that he is Hand now, I feel like that is gonna flip a little bit, or it could get kind of dicey for her, where she's like, "Well, shit, I don't have power over anyone now."
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. A very good point. So I actually find their relationship very interesting. I think it was almost inevitable, to be honest. I know a lot of people were surprised by it, but I wasn't. And yeah, I just think it's an interesting exploration of Alicent's power. And like you were just saying, Estella, like how that's going to change, how that dynamic's going to shift now that Kristen, he's the second most powerful person in the realm now.
Mm-hmm.
And as his power grows, Alicent's is dwindling. So there's like this, the evenness, or the not even evenness, it's just switching.
I think for me personally, I just would have liked to see how that relationship kicked off, because Olivia mentioned that they started sleeping together after Viserys' death sometime in season 1, and so I'm like, oh, so I kind of want to go back and watch and see if they were playing it that way in season 1, or if this was kind of an afterthought when season 2 started filming. So
I think that they planted seeds for Alec Cole from season 1 when they're doing the tourney. And he takes off his helm, and she's like, "Gods, he's Dornish." Like,
oh yeah,
just the way she says it, like, she definitely was attracted to him from the beginning. And I think part of the reason why she's so upset when she finds out it wasn't even Daemon, it was Kristen, is because there's like, and this is headcanon, I feel like there's betrayal because she loved Rhaenyra and wanted Rhaenyra for herself, but there was also this betrayal because I think probably Rhaenyra knew that Alicent was, had a crush on Cole and was like into him or whatever. And I think it was very like teenage girl drama. with like a little sapphic element added.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, that's what I said.
It's like y'all could have. I can't remember who it was. There, Lady Knight or something. There's this mutual that I have that I just came across her. She's fantastic, and she was talking about that. And oh God, I wish I could. Never mind. I'll try and think of what the video was or what her name was. It was so good.
Well, the fact that they're doing all of this in Rhaenyra's old room is very telling. I feel like they are both still in love with Rhaenyra while also having a thing for each other. It's a complicated thing. It's a
Well, they should have just been a fucking couple. Like, what is your problem? He could have been a pass around.
Yeah.
Why are you guys fighting? You could have shared.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Again, with the hypocritical, theming and lens, it is also funny that Kristen was like, I don't want to be your whore to Rhaenyra, basically, but he's totally fine with doing this for Alicent. It's like, okay, you're all just,
But she's righteous. She's Catholic enough.
right?
Yeah, can we talk about, okay, so here's something I'm really fucking excited about. Maybe you guys already talked about this, but the scene of Adam and Sea Smoke got me. I'm like, I'm so excited. I don't say this often, like, I'm not like a thirst person for like actors or celebrities or whatever, but that actor
is beautiful. He's a beautiful man. I noticed it last night and I was like, okay.
Show me that man. Show me that man on a dragon. I'm ready. My body is ready.
Yes. I do feel like this goes against dragon lore, but also at the same time, that is a beautiful man.
We don't know yet if it's gonna go. We don't know what they're gonna do. Like, they could have Laenor die off screen. They could. There are a lot of different things that they could do that won't necessarily fuck up the lore. We'll see what they do with it.
I see that Adam doesn't have white hair, so like, what if he's Nettles?
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, him staring at Sea Smoke, I think, is very telling, and also like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. He's
Eric, do you mean that he's not going to be a Velaryon bastard? Is that what you mean?
Right, and I sort of like kind of think that maybe like I'm holding for Alan because he is bald, but like they haven't brought it up yet, so it's like I'm wondering if just Corlys is just gonna call them his sons because he owes them.
Well, and I don't think that just because they decided not to give Alan white hair, or Adam, I mean, doesn't mean that he's not a bastard of Corlys. Like, his mom could have dark hair.
So my husband had a question last night, and I couldn't really figure out the answer to, probably because I was just so tired. But Velaryons have dragons. How did they get dragons? Did they bring their own dragons over?
Ooh, Velaryons? No, any Velaryon.
Velaryon/Targaryens.
It was from marrying into Targaryens, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Laenor riding a dragon is because of Rhaenys.
Yes, because the Velaryons were not. They were Valyrians, but they were not a dragon riding family.
That's what I said to him. He's like, that doesn't make sense because they have dragons. I'm like, because I forgot about the Laenor and Rhaenys. Okay, I feel silly now.
Velaryons have been mixing with Targaryens for quite a bit.
Yeah, and I was always of the idea that, like, we probably don't know how many Velaryons in history have had dragons, because it's like, obviously, the Conquerors, like, their mom was a Velaryon, and so it's like, from all these marriages into the Targaryen line, there probably were other Targaryen Velaryon children who were able to have dragons at certain points, but obviously the history doesn't really go back that far, and they don't document it that much, but it definitely seems to be more from the Targaryen-ness than necessarily, I think, the Velaryons being able to have their own dragons.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to bet that in, like, old Valyria, the dragon riding families did not marry non-dragon riding families. Like, I don't
probably not
any, like, overlap between the Velaryons and the Targaryens in old Valyria.
Oh, well, I mean, the fact that they don't...
The
fact that they don't even really want to, like, mingle with the Celtigars that much, I feel like kind of shows that.
The only reason they're willing to do it with the Velaryons is because they have to sleep.
When did the Velaryons go to Driftmark? Was it with Daenerys? Like, they were like, okay, we're gonna go with you.
No, it was before.
Yeah. Okay. Because they established themselves with the sea trade well before Daenerys got there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Corlys explained his lore. Like, we've been going We y'all took the dragons. We made our riches through the sea.
In the comments, Miriam said she feels like keeping Laenor alive for nothing is kind of underwhelming, and we talked about this in the last live, but to revisit it, I think probably the most interesting thing that they could do with Laenor is have him involved in the gullet with like Viserys and having him be the one that like hides Viserys and saves him, and then that's why he's able to show back up at the end.
Because I think isn't the ship called like the Gay Abandon? Isn't that what
I don't know.
we're referencing?
Yes, that is the name of the ship.
So I think that would be, but again, that then in order for Adam to claim sea smoke, it does contradict what we know of the lore if Laenor is alive.
But you can do whatever with the lore because they changed it back.
I feel like. Sorry.
I'm looking through the comments.
Okay, Stella, what were you saying?
Sorry, I was gonna say I feel like with these first two episodes though, I feel much more trusting where I'm like, I trust them to do something, if not, like lore accurate to the books, something that is at least interesting in a way that I think we'll be pleased with.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel better this season.
I am optimistic.
Yeah, I'm more optimistic this season than last season.
Space woman, can a dragon in any sort of way disconnect from their rider without dying? It against the lore that we have is that a dragon doesn't have another rider unless that rider dies.
But I mean, you think about the bond, like, and that they're supposed to be like they're sharing. It's like this, like soul exchange sort of a thing. It would just be really fucking bizarre for the dragon not to know whether or not he was alive or dead, just because he's not physically in its vicinity. That would be weird to me.
Like, there's something to Bran skin changing the ravens and seeing children that were in the ravens previously. So I feel like there's something there to like Laenor's consciousness adding to sea smoke when he's dead.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like a person can't have more than one dragon in their lifetime, right? That hasn't really happened. Of like
Right.
a person claiming and having multiple dragons.
No, if they had not treated Aegon that way, maybe we could have found out. But I had a horrible thought about what they were going to do with Helena's story, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. So hopefully they don't. But I was going to be like, she still has a chance to get pregnant with Maelor.
Now, I don't.
Like,
I hope that they cut. I hope that the decision to cut Maelor, like, I hope that that's actually a decision that's been made, because I don't really need to see that. And it's much more interesting if they create a controversy between who's going to inherit Jaehaera or Aemond. Like, that's more fun to me than anything else. We don't really need to see Maelor die that way. We don't.
I agree.
Yeah, I can live with
I'm
that.
good. I'm good not seeing that on my television screen.
Honestly, that was harder for me to read than Blood and Cheese.
Yeah.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
guys-
it was much worse. It was much
hardcore agree.
Yeah. Do you guys think we're going to see any of Helena's attachment to Dreamfire, really? I feel like we haven't really gotten any
I
of
think
that.
they're taking that from her. I don't think they're going to give her that, because at this point she's so fucking gone to her grief. She's not getting on the back of a fucking dragon.
So we get that one shot of Dreamfire. And then
Yeah, it's like, I would have loved to see her, like, hanging out with her dragon, just kind of in the same way that, like, Rhaenyra was, like,
I agree.
hanging out with Cyrax, but,
Just one time would have been fantastic.
I think that Dreamfire is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities in the show so far.
I completely agree with you on that, because as the lore goes, I mean, Daenerys' eggs came from Dreamfire.
I mean,
And I think about, like, Helena's ending and how upsetting that is for Dreamfire and, like, all that. And so, I don't know, I would have liked to see that connection. Like we were saying, those soul connections.
It seemed like from what little we got of Fire and Blood, like what was in there, the only thing that brought Helena joy was her children and her dragon. So It seemed like that was all that she had, and to cut the dragon out is very disappointing.
So in the book canon, I do prefer the idea that Dany's eggs came from, a lesbian divorce, and that they came from. It's really that they came from Dreamfire at a time when Dreamfire's writer was Rhaenyra, and that's why it works so well for me in the book. So having Dreamfire, because we don't have Rhaenyra and Alyssa in the show, the connection then would be Helena, Dreamfire, and Dany, and that connection doesn't work for me the same way that it does when Rhaenyra was the writer, and that those eggs were the result of Rhaenyra's fertility and that connection to Dreamfire versus Helena's fertility and connection to Dreamfire. Like, that doesn't work as well for me. So in the canon of the show, I think having them come from Syrax and Rhaenyra makes more sense.
Have y'all seen people theorizing that maybe those answers, because this came from the Cyrex thing came from an interview thing where they were playing like a game, like some kind of question game.
Oh, but it was like
Did those
Chat
questions
GPT.
come from? Did those questions come from like Chat GPT? Exactly.
Yeah.
Which it could make sense.
Because also in the trailer for next week, there's 4 eggs, not 3. So maybe they're not Dany's eggs. I think they are, but maybe they're not.
I saw a blue egg.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that maybe they were trying to hatch some eggs for the little ones.
And so, do you think that then they're not Dany's eggs?
Those two, I mean, the coloring, one of them was like bright blue. I thought the coloring seemed off. But
Yeah, I would say if Dany's eggs are there, they're not showing them. Like, we only got that one shot in
Let me pull the shot up.
original trailer.
Yeah, I think there are 2 different shots.
There could be more eggs other than Dany's eggs, at the very least.
Let me pull up the shot, but there's 2 different shots of eggs. There's a further away shot, and it looks like 3, and then there's that close-up shot, and it's like a bluish one, which I wanted to bring this up in the group, but we didn't get a chance to. I'm gonna pull up the shot right now, and we can dissect it. Give me a second.
So I don't think we're gonna see morning in the show because it just the timeline wouldn't. The way that they've pushed the timeline together, I don't think it works to have. Or at least they could make Rhaenyra a more active participant in the story if she had a full-grown dragon.
No, I agree. I assumed that the shot with the 2 eggs was them, incubating some little eggs for Rhaenyra's children. Not that they would hatch or come to fruition, but in just a sense of like showing us more dragon eggs and showing us more of the Targaryen tradition and all that. Because we kind of got that a little bit in season 1 where they were incubating an egg, and I don't believe that egg hatched either.
Actually, in the comments, Haley says here it could be eggs Rhaena takes with her to try and hatch. I think Rhaena goes to the Vale. I think that was like somebody found that through screenshots. So yeah, they could be taking her dragon eggs, which is going to be a weird like. They asked for dragon riders, but we're sending you a rider and eggs.
Best we can do is a rider and eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, best we can do.
Alright, give me one moment. Okay, here we go. Give me 1 second to find the shot.
I was out of the office for 3 days last week, and I have so many emails I want to cry.
Oh. That's how I am this week as well.
Lady of Ashai, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what, because I saw that leak as well. It's just one of those things we got to wait and see. They could be for the dragon seeds as well, although I'm pretty sure I saw that the later episodes, like 7 and 8, will have to do with the dragon seeds.
Okay, we have 4. There's 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
4 eggs.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
And 3 of them do look like Dany's eggs.
Yeah, the ones that were surrounded by fire, those look like Dany's eggs. But the more recent images we saw, there's like a blue egg that I'm like, I don't think that's that.
Yeah, what do you guys think they're doing with Hugh Hammer? Anybody?
I kind of forget what he does in the book other than be a asshole.
I mean, I think they're trying to give him some backstory as to why he goes to Because doesn't he then go to fight for Rhaenyra, but then he's a turncloak?
Yes,
Am I
they
remembering that
both.
correctly?
I'm wondering if
Yeah.
they're having him start in King's Landing, are they switching it? Is he going to start loyal to Aegon? Aegon's going to do some dumb shit, and he's going to go to Rhaenyra?
That's kind of what I was thinking of, like, because you can see the condition of the small folk, like, they're unhappy, and, like, you know, they were talking about how the food's getting more scarce, and, like, it seems like he has maybe a daughter that's probably gonna die or something, so I imagine maybe, like, Aegon will just not keep his word of, like, taking care of the
Yes.
small folk, and then he'll run to Rhaenyra's
They-
side, and then, you know.
In that scene, he specifically brings up that, what's it called? The king's going to pay us. And
She's
then
like, yeah,
his
when?
wife says, like, when?
Oops.
And then his wife's like, when? You know, did he say when? And it's like, I think that's part of the shoe that's going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, as
That-
Stefana said, I'm surprised Dragonstone isn't filled with dragons. It is. Dragonstone is full of dragons.
It wouldn't surprise
here
me
we go.
though if they have to become kind of quote unquote disillusioned then with Rhaenyra too, and then basically be like, well, both rulers suck, I should be king. Like that's kind of a vibe.
Eric, we can hear you scanning.
All right, here
I'm
we
not
go.
scan.
The eggs.
I'm not scanning, he said.
Hold on, it's
Boo.
away.
You boo.
Hold on, wait for this stain to go away. Go away. There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that would
we
make
have a
sense
blue
if
one,
Hugh gets desperate
green one.
on Aegon's side, goes to Rhaenyra, and then decides that none of these people matter.
Yeah, see, green, red, and gold. Those are Danny's eggs.
We have a gold, a red, a green, and a blue one.
Okay, so that's interesting. All right.
Those are
No,
Danny's eggs.
those are probably Danny's eggs.
That is Viserion in the front. Don't question me on this, y'all.
I love this. This is Viserion. I mean, I love this egg compared to what we got in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
1000%. There's even
It's
texture
so
on here.
pretty.
There's even texture on here.
Look
I
at
don't know how
that.
to zoom in. How do you even zoom in? I don't know. But there's little texture on here like spirals within the scales.
Yeah, the eggs were always missing the swirls.
Taryn put swirls on mine. See?
I tried.
No, you did. This looks better than the fucking one in Game of Thrones. Be serious. This looks way better.
Thank you. That's so sweetie.
Stormcloud? Who's Stormcloud?
Actually, yeah, I'm failing at being a lore master right now. Who's
Does anyone
Stormcloud?
know? Anyone tell me who Stormcloud is?
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Who is it?
No one can hear me.
I can hear you, but you're not telling me who it is.
Who's Stormcloud?
I don't know. Dragon. Oh, okay. Got it. The last that. Is it born wrong?
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that's like born kind of wrong, but don't they have to kill it? Is it the one that like bites a little chunk out of the kid? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
The Dragonbane.
Yeah, okay, so we know. We got it. It's Aegon the Third's dragon, but what happens to it? Is what I'm after.
Okay, let's go to Google. What happens to Storm?
Look, we all need to use Google every now and then. Although I am, I've always had my,
Yeah, you're
I've
right.
always
I'm
had my
thinking of Baela's
critiques.
daughter's dragon.
I've always
He
had my
saves
critiques of
Aegon,
the.
but
What's up?
he saves Aegon and leaves Viserys. That's Stormcloud.
Okay, Stormcloud has been terribly wounded as he fled. When he arrived at Dragonstone, stubbed countless arrows were embedded in his belly, and there was a scorpion bolt through his neck. Stormcloud died within the hour, hissing from hot blood gusting black and smoking from his boots. Nice.
And then that's also when Jace shows up, right? Vermax?
So if that's the case, I'm not. Well, unless they change stuff, that can't be Stormcloud because Stormcloud, like, the gullets. I'm pretty sure the gullet's
This is
happening
from the
in the
gullet.
last episode.
Yeah, you'd have to be big enough.
I mean, but it's not like they've really stuck to, like, how dragons realistically grow.
That's
Cyrex
true.
is
Didn't
still.
they
That's
say
true.
which
Cyrex
specific
is the
dragons we were
same
gonna see this
size.
season?
What'd you say, Stella?
I was gonna say, didn't they say like a specific number of new dragons we were gonna see this season, or didn't they name some of them?
Probably.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
Because that makes me wonder. because I don't remember Stormcloud being in that list. Let me look.
How do you? Okay, people in the comments. How do you think that season 2 will end then? If not the gullet.
Yeah, like to me, like as soon as I heard that Abigail Thorne is cast as the Lyseni General, I'm like, why would they even cast that role? They're not casting Daeron in season 1. Why are they going to cast her a season early?
Right. That's true.
So that's what I think. I think that it because it would match with Rhaenyra losing a son at the end of each season.
Yeah, Cyrax will be big enough for too soon. Cyrax immediately stops growing. Like, fuck you, Alicent. No. I'm gonna stop growing.
Rhaenyra takes the throne. I don't know. That's
Also, there's kind of no maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm face blind to this, but there's no real explanation for why Mazzaria still looks that way like 20 years later.
I was thinking about that too.
Like Rhaenyra is a whole other actress, and Mazzaria still looks the same.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd do a little bit of aging makeup, but they're like, nah, she just has that amazing skincare routine.
Or she's wearing a glamour somewhere.
True.
I still like the kind of like crackpot theory that she becomes Melisandre. That she's like somebody
Oh, that's
that
funny.
Melisandre.
I haven't heard that one.
Becomes her, he would already have to be her.
yeah.
Well, like she's the person, but like Melisandre herself is like not the first person that she was because she's been alive for so long. And also just that she's got the.
But they call her Melanie. Like, when she has her memories about her childhood, they call her Melanie.
No, exactly. That's why it's a crackpot theory.
Like, I don't like it.
It's just one of those things. Where it came from was the fact that Carice Van Houten said that she would love to be in House of the Dragon.
Well, I'm sure she would.
Even if we get just like a small little cameo, like she walks by a doorway. Hey, it's Mel.
I remember people were saying that they thought she was going to be Alice Rivers, which I wouldn't have been super happy with, but at the same time I was like, okay, maybe. But obviously that seems to be, not the case since we have the castings for Alice.
No. And
what do we think's going to happen with Alice?
Narrative sense. That doesn't make any fucking narrative sense for Alice Rivers to be Melisandre. Melisandre is in Essos. Oh, we've been flagged for harassment and bullying?
What?
That happened to my last live too. I don't know
TikTok's goofy.
Melisandre isn't Kira. I don't believe that for 2 seconds.
Who are we harassing?
Alice is appearing next episode. Yeah, so what do we think they're going to do with Alice?
I can tell you right now, she's gonna.
I was listening to that part of the story today, and it's like, well, we know who's playing her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that picture circling around where she looks like Megan Fox. It's not happening, so just prepare yourself. She's going to be. She's a sorceress, but she is not going to look like a smoking hot dime.
I hope they don't shy away from the magic.
Tanner Marion, no. Aemond was cuddling with the madam of the brothel in King's Landing. She's in season 1, and I forget her name, but she's played by Fabian Frankel's drama teacher. I remember that bit of trivia.
Oh, interesting.
So when they had that scene together, it's like she was like his co-star, but she was like his teacher for most of his career.
What is selfish is that Rhaenyra sent Baela alone. I kind of had a thought in my head that she would, this just in my own mind, that, to get back at Daemon, she's going to send Baela to King's Landing because she told Jace, no, don't go to King's Landing because it's too risky, but she sends Baela.
Yeah, I wanted to ask y'all, what are your thoughts on the blended family dynamics? Because I peeped that too, and then also obviously when Baela and Jace are talking, he doesn't really seem to talk about Daemon in the sense that he views Daemon as his father as well. It was more like, separate. And so it makes me wonder how they parent their stepkids.
If they do.
If they do, yeah, or if they view them that way, or if it's more like, you know, you're my spouse's child, you know.
Yeah.
I got from season 1 that like Damon has some kind of special relationship with Jace.
I think so too.
From trying to kind of school him when he scares the pants off the Kingsguard, and then also when he stops him from attacking Aemond at the dinner.
I think that's a good point too. That from Rhaenyra's perspective, like Jace is going to be impulsive if she sends him, whereas Bela is more likely to listen.
Probably. I agree with that.
Like she trusts Bela not to act on impulse.
And like the theme of the show was men act impulsively.
Yes. Where did Ashley go?
I think she just aired out being paused.
Well, I can't remember if you guys said this earlier too, but it was like, you know, Jace is her heir as well. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
true.
she's gonna get more and more, you know, intense about keeping them close as more of them die.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so for what I said earlier, I think trust is definitely a huge part. That's why Bailey went instead. Not that she doesn't trust Jace, he's also the heir, and also King's Landing is volatile. So I think that with Moondancer, she can handle herself, and with Jace, she doesn't want that threat whatsoever.
Have you guys talked about the twins yet?
Yeah, So there was a lot of talk about this. They're both their last words being forgive me, and you know Eric falling on his sword because.
Oh, those twins.
Yeah, those.
There's a bunch.
Twins.
There's a
Which
few.
twins are you talking about? Jaehaerys and Jaehaera, or Eric and
George
Eric?
loves twins.
Oh, right.
Or Eric and Arik, or Bela and Rhaena.
Oh, true. Yeah, all
They're
those.
not twins in the show.
That's true. All right. Because I'm still reading. I'm still in the book right now. Because trying to get the So I'll say one thing about the Eric and Arik thing because I was listening to it. Me personally, sort of like the ugly story better. The one that Mushroom tells, which is that the fight was actually over pretty quickly, and then Eric just cursed his brother for 4 days
I don't like that.
until he died. Because I don't know, I kind of identify with like my brother forcing me to do that to him. It's like, why can't you just make the right decision? You know it's wrong.
Yeah.
But I still appreciate the direction they went in the show. It was definitely more heart wrenching.
I loved it. I have
I
no.
loved it. Through and through.
I loved it. I loved how confusing it was that you don't know who's who most of the time. I loved the way that Eric could sense Arik. You know, he senses him behind him. He knows on like some deep soul level that he's there. And just, I loved it. I loved every fucking minute of it.
I have a question. Do we think Mizaria went back and told someone?
I do. Because when Eric bursts into the room, he's saying brother as he enters the room. Like he knew it was his brother.
Yeah. That's what
I
I
think she told Eric.
That's what I was thinking because I saw people say like, oh no, he just somehow psychically knew. And I was like, that seems kind of silly.
That's ridiculous. It's because people cannot believe that things happen unless they're spoon-fed that they happened.
And they're directly showed it, yeah.
It's like the Daemon thing. Of course Daemon said a son for a son. When they said, what if you can't find Aemon? He said, a son for a son. That's what he said. Because he said that earlier to Rhaenys, and then Blood and Cheese say it while they're doing it. That's not a coincidence. Yeah. It's because Daemon told him. But because it happened off screen, people are like, no, he didn't. They're giving us plausible deniability. Like, no, use your brain.
They set up Mizaria telling about Arik because in the first episode, that's the first thing she says is like, last time I saw you, there was 2 of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's like she knows that there's a twin, and that's the useful information. So yeah, she clearly went and told Eric because they were just talking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't even know that she went and told Eric specifically. It's that she told the guard who was escorting her, and then he did what he will with that information because Eric wasn't anywhere near her when that happened.
I will say I'm really enjoying what they're doing with her character now. I feel like, they've smoothed out her accent quite a bit, but other than that, I really enjoy that we're seeing these little threads now of her being like, these men don't value me, and you can kind of see her and Rhaenyra are starting to have this little bit of a, real recognizes real, and so you can definitely see how she's going to make her way into Rhaenyra's council.
Yep. Well, and that like it speaks to Mysaria that she went back. She didn't have to.
Yeah.
She could have just let it unfold the way that it was going to unfold.
Okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so that'll be important that she did go back for her relationship with Rhaenyra, because I kind of laughed when she was like, that's what Damon said he was going to do. Isn't that what Damon said he was going to do? And she's like, Damon's gone. It's like, oh. Yeah. And then they really got that Rhaenyra just with those creepy eyes, just studying Mysaria in the background. It was a good scene.
Can we just take a second and just take a moment and Emma Darcy is such a great actress. It's just they know exactly how to do every scene and eat every scene.
Yes.
I feel that way about Thea.
Yes.
Helena is a really fucking hard character to play. And I think that she kills it every time. Every single time. The panic attack at the funeral was perfect.
Oh, I was gonna say too, I really like that Rhaenyra was kind of giving Mysaria the stare down, but when she said, how'd you get that scar? Then Mysaria it felt like her face darkened a little bit to the point where it felt like they were almost like playing chicken with each other in a way, because then Rhaenyra was like, okay, we're good here, I thought that was just very interesting and subtle.
Yeah, how did she get it?
I don't remember.
Or we don't know.
Yeah, I think we don't know, because I don't remember that being a thing in the books, but
for a second I was like, did Damon give it to her? And that was like what was happening?
I was gonna say, it sounds like it sounded like it was Damon related.
That's kind of how I took it too. And that, Rhaenyra's been choked by Damon, and so she was like, where'd you get that scar?
Yeah, because it's on her neck. It's like right there on her not her jugular.
I'll tell you, a man does not, that wasn't the first time that Damon had choked a woman.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, too, and I liked in this episode where they were kind of fighting a little bit, you saw that there was that little moment from him where it was like, you didn't know what he was going to do, and then he touched her face, and it was like him being like, my heart, kind of, but it was like, there was that split second where you could see a little bit of fear on Rhaenyra's face, because it was like, what's he going to do?
In the previous episode, when there's that exchange between Mysaria and Damon, she's terrified of him. Like, she puffs up and she defends herself, but the moment that he turns away from her, she deflates, because he could kill her. He could just decide to kill her, and there's literally nothing she could do about it. And I saw someone in the comments saying that they probably sliced Mysaria's throat when they burned down her house, but I think it would not be so healed. It wouldn't be a scar.
Someone said
it was like a white scar.
Collar.
What?
Someone just said it could be from a slave collar.
That's true.
It is very possible.
But I mean, it looks like, I don't know.
I don't know, it's kind of like a little C.
Yeah, to me it looked like a noose scar or something, but I wasn't quite sure. But because it was white, so it was definitely like an older, kind of healed over.
A couple years old.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. My headcanon is it was Damon.
I mean, I think that makes the most sense character-wise.
She was social climbing. She had the scar the last time in Dragon. So she had the scar last time as she was in Dragonstone. So the scene on the bridge, she had it.
Yeah, I mean, but when we meet Damon, he's with Mysaria.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, that's how we meet Mysaria, and he's also lying about her being pregnant. Yeah, exactly. Like no one can protect themselves from a prince.
Yeah, but it's like their relationship is established in that brothel too, and it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition too of that scene with Aemond with the brothel keep, where she kindly reminds him that, hey, just to let you know, when stuff like this happens, the small folk are the ones that suffer the most from princes like you. And so I think that's kind of an interesting parallel to Daemon and Mysaria's relationship in a way.
we don't. I mean, we don't know if she had it before her interactions with Daemon because we only meet her with Daemon, so we don't know.
Going forward, episode 3. Okay, did anybody watch the trailer for the next episode?
Yeah, the part of the dragon eggs are in the trailer. And I think that we are seeing Rook's Rest. And we see the Brackens and the Hornwoods. What is it?
Well, that would be Burning Mill. I was just listening to that part right now, which is where. Do you think we'll see Black Alley? Because that's where she does.
I
her
hope
thing.
so.
I feel like Ray asking her might have something to do with Daemon. We just don't know, but it could have been. It just fits. It checks for it to be.
That's what would make sense, is bringing it up in the context of that scene. It would make sense if it was something Daemon related. Unless I'm forgetting something.
It'd be pretty fucked up for Rhaenyra to be like, "How about that scar from your slave collar?" Like that would be very fucked up for her to say,
Yeah.
and also wouldn't make sense in the context of the scene.
All right. Ashley says that she has terrible signal and her volume wasn't working.
Okay, I was wondering what she wanted.
Strong Riverland.
So yeah, I'm surprised that they're going to be doing like the Bracken stuff. I kind of think that would have been cut for something like Rook's Rest. So it's interesting the pace that they're setting for this, because we're going to get presumably action. I don't know if it's a whole battle scene, but
I'm gonna watch that preview one more time.
I know they I know that Ryan described at least 2 of the episodes being like battle.
Excuse me.
Oh, let me turn that
Soon they will.
turn the volume off. Okay,
I feel like they're
Okay,
really
okay.
trying to sow the seeds of
This part right
the
here.
smaller folk being unhappy. So
Turn my camera around. Right there.
We can't see anything, hun.
Oh, sorry. Here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, this part.
the Brackens and the Blacklands.
When the desire to kill and burn takes hold. Reason is forgotten.
We get shots of Damon at Harrenhal.
To come to us. Good. Toward it.
Alicent is in King's Landing. Her son sits my throne.
There has been no freaking stone.
We must press what advantage we do have.
And what is that? Dragons.
Oh, Moon Dancer's so pretty.
Begin fighting dragons, we invite our own destruction. We take a savage or will compare.
So yeah, then maybe they're just bringing up the dragon seeds.
Very, very excited for Bela and Moon Dancer.
Yes, it looks like he's at Harrenhal. The rainy stuff looks like Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Which I'm very excited for. It looks so empty though. Like there's supposed to be people there, right? Does Damon encounter Alice first? Does he have any interactions with her?
He does. He doesn't do anything with her. Like I think it's mentioned that she's like ineffective on him or something like that, or he wasn't like captured by her. I forget what the wording is, but they did not interact. But yes, he. And then as far as people not being there, I still think there would be people there, but it is notably like, there's not a whole lot of people there because Larys, being the Lord, is in King's Landing at the time, so it's being looked after by the steward. So in the book, it's described as lightly garrisoned.
What was the found in the books is that Damon goes there first, right, and then leaves to like trick Aemond, and that's when Aemond shows up and meets Alice and everything, right?
I believe so. Quick question. What was the rumor for this episode to be called? Because it ended up being called Rhaenyra the Cruel. It was supposed to be called. I heard it was supposed to be called something else.
The one we just watched.
This episode 2.
I don't remember.
Maybe I'm just.
I didn't hear. I heard some leaks that weren't convincing at all. I don't remember what they were, but yeah, I didn't. Whatever title it was, I don't remember because I didn't believe it.
No worries. I like Rhaenyra the Cruel. I like that title.
Yeah, well, that's that was a good episode, and surprisingly, just everybody's so.
Season 2 has been 2 for 2 for me. I enjoyed both episodes thoroughly throughout the entire episode.
I think my thought behind it too is I'm like, wow, this season is, I mean, it's hard to say because we're only 2 episodes in, but it's gearing up to be so good that it makes me wish that season 1 was as good. I think it must have just been the time jumps that really threw me off, because it just, you look at this and you're like, wow, this sets the precedent that there was a really great season 1 to start us off with. And I don't know, I just feel like this season is shoring up to be better.
Yeah.
I think that has to do with the pace, and I think they rushed the pace because the people wanted Dragon War show. They didn't want court drama, some romance, but mostly drama. They wanted dragons and they wanted blonde people. So we can't have dark-haired Rhaenys, and we got to get to Luke at the very end. So it's like it's sad because we're seeing what a properly paced House of the Dragon would look like, and it's awesome.
Love it.
And did they say they're doing just 3 seasons, or are they doing 4?
I heard they expanded to. I think the original plan was 3. I think they expanded to 4.
Okay.
But that's all still I know they just started writing season 3, about maybe a few weeks ago.
Got it.
And then also there was some other news that Dunk and Egg is going to come out way earlier than the summer.
Yeah, they're already shooting. We've had shots and stills on the show. It's great. Well, I say still.
But it sort of makes sense, right? Because there's no dragons. So it's
true.
The last little bit of CGI that they have to do is probably going to be a lot easier, which is maybe you should have made that show first. But no, we got to have dragons. There's no dragons in Dunk and Egg. No one's going to watch it.
Everyone loves the dragons. Oh, and I think Lady Sativa is going to be joining us very soon. They just got home.
Well, I actually kind of need to go now because my phone is about to die.
Yeah, and I need to work.
I'm dodging work right now.
Yeah, I have my kid free roaming in my office right now. As you can see, I put books up to keep them from touching them. So as I can stay, but again, I'm okay with leaving too.
No, yeah, I'm gonna have to get off. I'm gonna have to we'll have to relaunch it because my phone's gonna die soon.
Yeah. So 10 more minutes, guys. Yeah, Lady Sativa will be on next Monday too, so you can join.
Yes, we're gonna be on every Monday, so it's
you'll see
kind of anybody that wants to come by. If we have room and time, we'd love to have anybody on.
Yeah, if you're wanting to be a guest, give us a message and we'll work you in.
But I'm excited about episode 3. I'm excited about the new show as well. But I hope I hope if this season's good, we might be on the cusp of a new, a Song of Ice and Fire age of media, so we can just have fun. The Marvel and Disney people the Marvel and Star Wars people have been getting it too much. We deserve some of it now.
Oh yeah, they're all
having such a good time. So freaking wild. Twitter House of the Dragon fandom is just not it.
Oh, it's awful.
I have stopped looking at Twitter, and I actually feel so much better.
I feel awful sending you funny stuff, Estella, because I'm like, wait, is she gonna open Twitter again?
No, you're good. I mean, it's inevitable because I feel like too, it's a double-edged sword because there's a lot of really interesting, insightful things on Twitter, but there's also a lot of garbage. I just see people getting angry over stuff that's so ridiculous, and I'm like, just close the app, just don't look at this, and don't get angry online about it. It's fine.
Or write about it in your journal.
Literally.
They have really good
true.
memes over there, though.
Not everything is an outside thought.
No.
Yeah.
Most thoughts are not outside.
But what was the crazy thing I saw today? Oh, blood and cheese makes Damon look good. So
yeah, I mean,
that's
dishwasher, litter box. I can just say words too.
or that they're like it's so weird.
My least
So
favorite
weird.
thing is when people on Twitter screenshot TikTok and then they use that to dunk on people, because I saw like someone had screenshot, because I see all the time people make fun of these people on like Instagram and TikTok who do these like little fan fiction-y posts of like their OCs, and in my mind I'm like, who cares? I literally do not care if someone is making their weird Targaryen OC character. Why are you all getting angry about it? Just let them, just ignore it. Like, it's whatever.
I do have kind of a funny story about that though, because I had Wee Skywalker is a Song of Ice and Fire fan artist, and she does really beautiful work. And I commissioned a portrait of myself as a Targaryen with Viserion, and it was beautiful. I love it. Posted it online, and Ashley found it on Pinterest being used as, oh, this is my OC from my fan fiction, and I was
That's so funny.
it was like this one of Aegon the Fourth's bastards, and her name was
my gosh.
Lily. And I'm like, that's a bad name, but go off, Lily.
Wait, what was the name? It was Lily?
It was like Lily something.
I think I remember that. I remember that.
One of Aegon the Fourth's bastards.
Lily, what would it, Lily Waters, I guess?
No, I think they like gave her some Targaryen. Or maybe it was Blackfire. I don't remember. It was just so funny because Ashley found it randomly on Pinterest, and she was like, "That's you."
Wait a minute.
That is me.
It makes me laugh though, the ones that are like, you know, this character, they existed during the dance and they did these war crimes and these things, and like, for me, like I said, I just find it kind of funny and I just scroll because I'm like, whatever. But some people get really mad about those types of like posts or people making their fan fiction, and I'm like, it doesn't do anything to hurt you. Why do you all care?
Yeah, why aren't we all just getting mad at House Forrester? Real heads know.
Right, real heads.
The story that literally does nothing.
Yep.
No, I don't have Twitter. I don't do Twitter. No, thank you.
I mean, good for you, honestly. That's how I hope
Yes.
to eventually be. I want to get off Twitter.
Yeah,
And we still call it Twitter. We're not calling it whatever somebody wants to call it.
It's just weird because Twitter just happens to get the best memes, and that's what whenever I did, let's do the memes of last night's episode, whenever season 1 came out, I would post that. It's just like, I don't even have the urge to get on Twitter to look for them now because it's just so, no thank you.
Yeah, I've noticed, I feel like Twitter is still the fastest place for updates on pop culture things and memes, like you were saying. I feel like TikTok is kind of neck and neck with Twitter though, but it's like the format of TikTok is so different that it's it's not the same of like parsing through and finding memes and people's thoughts on stuff. So I'm waiting for the next app of like where everyone is, the pop cultural zeitgeist is happening. Yeah, where everyone goes.
Where everyone goes.
It's the Jeremy Renner app.
No. I don't exist anywhere else doing A Song of Ice and Fire, except we're on YouTube now as a group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're on YouTube leaving comments.
I need to subscribe to you guys.
I do want to, once I'm done with this reread, I want to start posting my own content over on some like longer form lives, because I know over on YouTube there's not Eric.
Gosh.
God damn
Pick it up over there.
I know what was I saying? Something about something. YouTube. I want to do like longer form shit on YouTube because I know that Jon Snow propaganda is like got a grip on YouTube, and so I want to go rock the boat.
Go spread the good word of the Lord.
Yeah, I want to do like a 20-minute deep dive on Dany and Azor Ahai and the Mythos and the Prophecy, and just like blow some Snow Boys fucking minds.
You should. I will say it's funny noticing the difference in audience and the difference in like, just culture on different places. Like, I think we were talking about it a little bit yesterday, but like Instagram, you get I've just noticed I get a lot more pushback on like analysis and stuff on Instagram. Like people don't want to think. Versus here on TikTok, people are a little bit more willing to look at those things. But on YouTube, I've noticed I get a lot more like male dominated comments in the Song of Ice and Fire fandom. And so with that, I've been getting a lot more like just kind of gross objectifying comments or like, yeah, snow bro-y type stuff. So it's definitely different.
It's definitely more ruthless. Just outside of TikTok, I feel like just anywhere it's just more ruthless, more misogynist. It's just
yeah.
We gotta.
That's true. We had we put a video up about Olivia Cook and people using compromising images of her, and like the only pushback we got was on YouTube, and it was just some goofus who was complaining about the fact that we were complaining. It's like, well, what are you doing?
Right?
Like, how dare us have consideration for the actors' feelings?
Yeah. Like we were talking about Ewan earlier. We're not going to hate on what we saw. We're just going to say how we were taken by seeing it, but we're still going to keep it classy. We're not going to just bash the actor because of their looks.
Exactly.
Oh, Facebook, A Song of Ice and Fire Facebook is a joke. A fucking joke. It's not even, it's...
Taryn, you send us some of the crazy stuff from Facebook.
John on the Iron Throne.
Exactly. Facebook, I have a lot of suggested groups. I don't follow a lot of groups on Facebook besides like Game of Thrones shitposting and Game of Laughs. Those are like the OGs from like back in Game of Thrones days to come out with like the really good memes, and I have them in my meme folder on my camera roll. But they come up with like the craziest, funniest stuff, so that way I don't have to go to Twitter. It just gets filtered to Facebook, and I'm like, okay, I'll screenshot that because that's funny. It keeps me away from Twitter, and I'm thankful for Facebook Game of Thrones. But again, it is there's a lot of rage bait on there too that are just like, I'm not going to engage with that because that's just what you're wanting to do. So it's another shaboodle too.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Someone asked, what do you think of A Song of Ice and Fire Tumblr? And I love A Song of Ice and Fire Tumblr, actually. It's one of the most pro-Dany spaces that I've ever encountered in the fandom on Tumblr. Also, Instagram tends to be, at least from my experience, okay with pro-Dany discourse. Hopefully compared to like Facebook, YouTube, and Reddit.
It's funny, I haven't been on Tumblr since like 2017, so...
Tumblr is refreshing most times.
What? What'd you say, Eric?
Tumblr is refreshing most of the time, as opposed to like Reddit.
Yeah, because Tumblr is for girls for the most part. It's mostly women on Tumblr doing these deep dives about Dany. And I mean, not all women, obviously, like don't misquote me here. But I mean, a lot of the big A Song of Ice and Fire creators who talk about Dany, yes, nobody suspects the butterfly. Exactly. That is probably the best Tumblr account.
That's like the focus point where you can get all the good art.
Yep, that's where I find so much of my art is.
But it's because they're analyzing everything. So it's like
nobody suspects butterfly. Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested, they get it. They definitely get it. They get Dany. They get the point of the goddamn story.
Okay, so.
Oh, you thought that was me? That's so sweet.
We're gonna have to end it here.
Yeah, we got to end
but I would like everybody to talk about where the good folks can find everybody. Because like the Wicked Witches of Westeros, we just got a YouTube page, which everyone should go check out our first episode. And this episode will be available probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. But the full episode will be up over there.
It shouldn't be 5 hours worth of loading time, so.
Exactly. It's going to be a little easier.
Yeah, so
I think, Chelsea, you should make a video of other platforms of people that you like to follow. So that way they have that list too, and maybe, I don't know, put it in your link tree of these people. But yeah, she's got a list that people can follow.
Yeah, and what Eric was saying, so we have a YouTube channel now, and we have a TikTok page for the Wicked Witches of Westeros. So like we post shorter clips on the TikTok page, and then you get the full length stuff over on the YouTube. For me personally, the only place right now that I talk about A Song of Ice and Fire is here. I have an Instagram account that is also Hallowed Harpy, because that's always been my handle. But it's private. It's like that's my real life. And so like, I don't, there's no point in trying to follow me there. I don't accept follow requests unless I know someone, personally. But when I do decide to start posting stuff on YouTube, I will be sure to let everybody know.
Yeah, as we get closer to whatever date it is where Americans lose TikTok, we'll have platforms set up on other channels, hopefully with the same names, so it's easy to follow.
Yeah, no, I'll be hella Harvey on everything. Yes, I have a Pinterest, but I don't. I just use it to find art. Like I have a Song of Ice and Fire board where I save all my
And then,
art, and that's pretty much it.
and then lastly, Estella, you're on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, correct?
I am. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I think it should be Estella_Graves. I think on Instagram it's a double underscore because I think the name was taken already. But I'm also on Pinterest, and I have a bunch of little A Song of Ice and Fire inspo mood boards because I used to do all those posts on here of like POV, you're in this. But so there's that too, which just has a bunch of. It's mostly like fashion of like these little inspo boards, but it is there as well, and I think it's under the same name. So
Yeah. Ashley,
Ash-
we're about to get off.
Ashley, yeah, we're about to sign off.
Mine's all going to be under Zombie Terran, and I'm going to be transitioning my name back on TikTok to Zombie Terran on July 1st. So I'm going back to. I had an identity crisis, and I wanted to drop zombie, but I feel like zombie is part of me, so I will be changing that back. But all my other handles are Zombie Terran.
All right, cool, y'all.
And with that, we'll see y'all next week, which will be a double live because we're going to be discussing our reread on Saturday, right?
So much to say. So much to say, as usual.
So much to talk about. Feast and
So much
dance.
to talk about. Look at all my tabs. Look at all my tabs. I got so many tabs.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So my guys, before we go, my annotation notes are 350 pages right now.
350 pages? I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's great. I have a problem.
But yes, next week, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then on Monday, same as today, 11 a.m.
I'll be on time next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having
Signing
me.
off. Bye-bye, y'all.
Later.